What's going on? What's going on? I'm Eugene Napoleon. This is Napoleon's Corner. Before I get started, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. This is episode 214. 214. And the title of this particular episode, Become What You Want Out of Others. Become what you want out of others. And that's a really, really good thought process that we need to discuss. And we will during this process. During this particular episode, the whole process of what I'm talking about when I say become what you want out of others, right? So, what you expect out of others, you should expect out of yourself first. What do you expect out of others? You should expect out of yourself first. It's a lot to think about, right? What's even further interesting with that is a person's perception of themselves becomes their law. I'm going to say that again. A person's perception of themselves is their law. It's their own law. It's how they see things. It's how they formulate ideas and concepts and different things of that nature. So they may have a really, really big personality. They may have a real strong egotistical perspective and view of themselves. That becomes their law. And you can't tell them anything different. I would caution that, and that's why I want to do this particular episode. I would caution that with, if you have such high expectations for everybody else, then those should be the same expectations you have for yourself. That's all I'm saying. And when you stop to think about it, it does make sense. How could I tell someone I expect them to live in a mansion? I expect them to drive around in a Mercedes Benz. I expect them to have over $800,000 in their bank account. I expect them to have an 850 credit score. I expect them to have all these things, but yet I don't have that. But I expect them to have that. And if they don't have that, I'm now looking at them a little differently all of a sudden. So that's one to grow on when you stop to think about it. How could you expect all of these things out of someone else, and yet you don't have these things? Let's talk about behaviors. I expect someone to be of high character. I expect someone to have integrity. I expect someone to live by a strong moral code. I expect someone to have values. So how could anyone expect these things of someone else and they don't have those things? They don't have those qualities. None of them. But yet they expect someone else to have that. It's interesting. Once again, a person's perception of themselves is their law. That doesn't make it right. And consequently, it makes no sense when you really when you really break it down, when you really stop to think about it. All of these expectations, all of these lofty goals and all these things that people want out of someone else, but they're not willing to put the work in for themselves. Interesting. It's one to grow on. It really is. So I guess when you stop to really think about it, that probably will hurt most people's egos if, when you're going through this process with someone who comes to you and they're expecting all of these things from you, if you just stop to ask, I hear you, I got you, cool, but could I ask you one question? Do you have all of these things that you expect from me? Do you have these things? It's one to grow on. I think that's a legitimate question. Now, that may take, like I said, that might take a swipe at their ego, because now you're forcing them to self-evaluate, to look within themselves, to pull back the sheets, so to speak, right? Now you're asking them, how are you expecting all of this from me when you don't have these things? So should I reverse this around and ask you the same? If you're asking me, then I'm going to ask you, well, I expect this, the same things you expect from me, I expect from you. Now that will be interesting. If the tables were turned, how would that individual respond? Because see, here's the thing. When people come to you with all these lofty expectations and all these different things that they don't have themselves, they expect you to respond, right? They expect you to respond in a certain way or react in a certain way. So why not turn the tables? Why not? Why not ask the same questions of them as they are asking of you? Why not? Curious. Interesting. One to grow on, right? A person's perception of themselves is their law. Okay. You can have a high expectation of yourself. You can have lofty goals. You can have all of these things, right? What you can't do, and most people do this, but I'm just speaking hypothetically here. What you cannot do is put your expectations, your goals, you cannot impart that towards or push that to somebody else. You can't. Because if you do, be willing to answer the same questions that you are throwing at other people about what they have or don't have. Be willing and able to answer the same questions when they're thrown back at you. And don't have the colossal gall to be upset about it. Again, it's one to grow on. It's a really common thing to think about. So before you have these expectations, before you throw all of this stuff at everybody else, what you think they should have and what they should be driving and how they should be living and what should be in their bank account and what their credit score should be and what they need to do if they want to hang around you, they got to have all this stuff. Then you need to have the same exact conversation with them and ask them, do they have all of these things? And if they don't, then they should leave you be, let you go about your business, because there is no maturation here. There's no connection here. There's nothing to see here. If you're asking me, do I have all of this? Then I have the right to ask you, do you have all of this? Now, if you do, and I do, now we can build on that. That's a powerful situation. That's a power partnership. That's a powerful relationship. All of these things, if both people have the same exact things, right? They're heading in the same direction. Now that is a powerful duo right there. But if you don't expect someone to have something that you don't, but you're trying to hold their feet to the fire in expectations and you have none of it. And stop asking people for things that you're not willing to work to go get for yourself. It makes no sense. A person's perception of themselves is their own personal law. I'm Eugene Napoleon. This is Napoleon's Corner. I'll see you next week. Take care.